I want to give you a report on the ivory-billed woodpecker and how it became to be one of America's rarest birds. It started even before the European settlers even thought about America. It started with the Native Americans of the South who would trade one bill for one or two animal pellets to the northern and western tribes. The bills were thought to give the person wearing them the power to smash through their enemies.
Wow.
When the settlers came to America, they saw the birds too, and they shot at them too. They hunted them for their bills, but they also hunted them for their feathers. The rich loved to adorn their hats and clothing with feathers, although it's only for the rich right now, but at the turn of the 1800s to the 1900s, the plume wars would start. But before that, I have two important figures to talk about in the birding community. I'd like to talk about Alexander Wilson. I also have a funny story about Mr. Wilson. Alexander Wilson was an ornithologist who shot birds. Wilson shot the birds to paint them because he was a bird artist. In February 1809, he shot an ivory-billed woodpecker but only wounded it slightly. And then Wilson got the bright idea to keep the bird, but the bird had other plans upon its capture. It uttered a loud and piteous cry that resembled the violent crying of a young child, which in turn spooked his horse and almost cost Wilson his life. But he managed to hop in the wagon and drive 12 miles south to Wilmington, North Carolina. When he arrived in Wilmington, the bird started its piteous crying again and bringing everyone within earshot to their doors. But Wilson kept on driving till he got to an inn. Then Wilson decided to play a joke. When he went in, so he hid the woodpecker inside a blanket and went inside to get a room. When he went in, the landlord and bystanders were surprised to hear crying. Wilson then asked for accommodations for me and my baby. The landlord stared dumbly at Wilson and said, "Yes." Wilson then drew off the blanket, revealing the woodpecker. A general laugh then took place, but soon the joke would be on Wilson. Wilson needed to go stable and feed his horse and left the woodpecker free range of the room. When he returned less than an hour later, he heard the woodpecker hard at work. When he opened the door, he found the bird making use of that hour. Making its getaway, it had pounded a hole 15 inches square. Only the weatherboards stood in its way of getting out to freedom.
Whoa.
Wilson had to find nourishment for the bird, so he tied the woodpecker to a beautiful mahogany table and left. When Wilson returned, he found the ivory bill busy at work again. This time, he found the woodpecker on top of a pile of wood chips. Mahogany wood chips. The mahogany table was no more.
What?
No more.
Oh my heavens.
After that, Wilson had had enough. He quickly grabbed his paint and brush and started painting the still live bird. The ivory bill lasted only 3 more days after the experience, much to Wilson's regret. He said that he frequently thought about releasing the woodpecker back to the bayou. Now I'd like to talk about John James Audubon, a real pioneer in the birding community who would risk life and limb to shoot and paint birds. But before all this, he was a shopkeeper who traveled from France to the United States to start a business here. In 1810, he met Alexander Wilson, who showed him his bird paintings. Audubon then pulled out his own paintings to show Wilson. They both quickly saw a difference in their paintings because Wilson painted dead specimen and Audubon I lost my place, sorry. And Audubon live birds he saw. Can you hear? Can you hear?
He's just standing.
Both men decided to stick with their methods. After Wilson showed Audubon his paintings, Audubon became a bird artist. He traded his breeches for buckskin. You know what buckskin is?
Yep.
And he traded a life of comfort for a life in the backwoods. Once he started making paintings, Audubon changed his method of painting significantly. Instead of painting live birds, he would shoot the birds, and when he painted them, he would attach wires onto the specimen and manipulate the bird into positions it would normally do, like flying. So when he painted the bird, it looked lifelike. Audubon once shot a family of ivory bills, one male, one female, and a juvenile woodpecker. Audubon then rigged them up with the wires and painted the family of woodpeckers, working furiously on a dead branch, searching for grubs. When Audubon traveled down the Mississippi River, he saw at every landing a hunter selling bird skins. Of them, the ivory bill was sold the most. Audubon feared that over-collecting would doom the bird. After that, Audubon gave the name and helped start the National Audubon Society, which would become a crucial component in the ivory bill's survival. The habit kept on going through the 20th century, which would doom other species of birds, like the passenger pigeon, whose flocks would darken the sky. They were shot because they ate the crops that the farmers had planted. The Carolina parakeet, they were shot to plume ladies' hats. Other birds would come close to extinction, like the snowy egret, which is alive today. But there were more species than that were shot. There were woodpeckers, herons, warblers, bluebirds, owls, and more. In fact, one time, someone counted out of 700 hats, 543 of them had feathers on them.
Wow.
This is when people started to make conservation groups. The largest ones were the National Audubon Society and the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. The plume wars created hostility and even bloodshed. In the end, the conservationists won, but the plume wars had taken their toll. This, combined with deforestation, pushed the ivory-billed woodpecker into the realm of not being known if extinct or alive. On October 8, 1871, a cow knocked over a lantern and set fire to part of Chicago. This set off a chain of events that went against the ivory bill. In 1865, when the Civil War was ending, the people of the South fled to Texas, leaving their plantations for safety. Quickly, the trees took over the plantations and grew fast. So when the cow burned down Chicago, the South was full of trees, ripe for the picking. Soon, people were flocking to the South for the trees. They could buy land for 25 cents an acre. And they could make big money. This meant that the ivory-billed woodpecker was losing habitat every day. Next time I talk with you, I will tell you about the men who brought the ivory-billed woodpecker out of extinction and into the headlights of the Chicago Mill and Lumber Company.
That sounds wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Is that too short?
That was wonderful.
Was there any questions?
I was sleeping.
Do you have any questions? I have a question, John.
Yes?
How do you feel about Audubon and Wilson killing the birds and then making specimens of them?
I think it was necessary
Because?
because they needed to figure out, because anything they held had the potential to be new. Because it was new and most people hadn't seen most birds.
Oh, okay.
Because the United States or North America was really new.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
So what I hear you saying is it helped to educate people as to what was around them and how to protect those things around them?
Yeah, there was a difference because some people shot them because, well, they shot them for the sake of shooting them.
Yeah. Wow.
That's why.
You did an excellent job.
I've heard about the Audubon Society, but you really let me know so much more. Thank you.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, John, this is Joan, and as
Hello.
soon as she heard that you were coming, she practically ran here and got front row center seat.
It was the first one here.